you doing, YouTube? Talking about Kosovo. So UK troops ready to join NATO force in Kosovo as tensions rise. So, you know, I know Trump's important, but could MSNBC maybe talk about something else for a fucking hot second? Get into it.
Other intractable European conflict. But now the tension between Serbia and Kosovo has reached a new and dangerous frontier. The latest escalation started early on Sunday with 30 gunmen in the mountains of northern Kosovo. A bloody standoff at a monastery ended in a shootout. By the evening, 3 Serb gunmen and a Kosovar Albanian policeman were dead. 6 days of mourning, outrage and accusations later, the US now claims Serbian tanks are gathering on the border in what the White House calls...
Well, I mean, it's complicated. It's complicated. I don't necessarily agree with the vote blue no matter who, but like I said, you got to vote strategically. So if you're in a district where, you know, like if you're in California, you know, you could probably vote your conscience and get away with it. But there are some incredibly purple states where it does not make sense, and you are just handing the fascists a victory. So I don't know about saying vote blue no matter who. That's too simplistic. You know, that's far too simplistic for me. But we do need to vote strategically, and for a lot of people, that usually means voting for the lesser of two evil. I'm sorry, that's the system we have, and you know, you want to bitch and moan about a system that we can change, but we can't change this election cycle. So, you know, if the thing is that the people that want to do that are not being activists to change the electoral college. You know what I mean? So it's all rather moot. It's like an excuse to just not act. I don't know. Vote blue no matter who. It's too simplistic. You got to vote strategically, but I understand the mentality where there's a lot of, you know, you do have to vote strategically, and that often means voting against your principles and voting strategically. You know, voting for a fucking mansion, right? I mean, look, there are exceptions though. If you're in Kristen Sinema or Joe Manchin's district, you know, vote against them. They're not neoliberals. They're fucking conservatives. They're you know, I don't know about fascists, right? For them, but Mitch McConnell style conservatives, we'll say that.
An unprecedented, destabilizing development.
Okay, let's start this over here,
It's been
please.
rather overshadowed of late by that other intractable European conflict. But now the tension between Serbia and Kosovo has reached a new and dangerous frontier. The latest escalation started early on Sunday with 30 gunmen in the mountains of northern Kosovo. A bloody standoff at a monastery ended in a shootout. By the evening, 3 Serb gunmen and a Kosovar Albanian policeman were dead. 6 days of mourning, outrage and accusations later, the US now claims Serbian tanks are gathering on the border in what the White House calls an unprecedented, destabilizing development. And build-ups beget build-ups.
Yeah,
the
cooler,
4,500 strong NATO peacekeeping force in Kosovo will be bolstered. This, the last influx of Turkish soldiers back in June. Overnight, it was announced their presence will be increasing once again, with hundreds of British soldiers offered by the Ministry of Defence.
It would be a grave mistake for Serbia to make an intervention into Kosovo. I hope the government...
This guy's so British it hurts.
In Belgrade understands that, and I think it's right that NATO is reinforcing its presence in the north of Kosovo in order to deter Serbia to do that. If Serbia were to attack into Kosovo, this would be a very grave situation.
Showcasing the weapons they'd seized after Sunday's siege, Kosovo authorities accused the Serbian government of directing the attack and arming the group, which it denies, saying the gunmen were local Kosovo Serbs.
A zašto bi to Beogradu odgovaralo? A samo da mi neko to
objasni.
Why would this be beneficial for Belgrade, asks the Serbian president. To destroy our position we've been building for a year? That we want war? No, Serbia does not want war. It's been 24 years since NATO bombed Belgrade, after Serbia carried out war crimes in Kosovo. It ended a year of fighting that left 10,000 people dead, mostly ethnic Albanians. A decade later, Kosovo declared independence, a status unrecognised by Serbia then and now. The last time the Serbian government sent extra troops to the border was in April. The Serbs in northern Kosovo took on NATO peacekeepers with their bare fists. They'd boycotted local elections and protested when ethnic Albanian mayors took office.
So in previous rounds of escalations, Serbia would often lift its combat readiness. The international community would then usually call for de-escalation. And ultimately, in the end, so far, we would have positive results. However, of course, this round of escalation is different than any previous ones that we've seen recently, because we've had casualties this time around, which is, of course, extremely saddening, but also very, very concerning.
And escalatory.
Today, the bodies of the Serbian gunmen will return to their families. It won't be enough to draw a line under the incident, one of the worst confrontations since Kosovo broke away from Serbia. What happens next may be felt far beyond the Balkans.
Danny Eisdale there. Well, earlier I spoke to the president of Kosovo, Vjosa Osmani, starting with her response to more British troops joining NATO's forces in the country.
We very much welcome British forces and other NATO forces coming to Kosovo as a reinforcement and support to deal with the very concerning situation that we're dealing with since the past couple of months, but especially since Sunday, the 24th, where Serbia committed an act of aggression and a terrorist act against the Republic of Kosovo.
How do you know Serbia did that? How do you know Serbia did that?
We obviously are not just suggesting we know that because of all of the irrefutable evidence that connects this terrorist group to Serbia, including, for example, the fact that they have been trained for the past couple of months by the Serbian army in Serbian army compounds. Secondly, the weapons that they have used are...
Yeah, Davey, we'll have to do a special stream just for probably that video. I'll take a look at it. Please put it in the Discord. Big props to Davey, y'all. Producer of the News Underground. Yeah, boy, Davey. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, we got to do a deep dive on this, and it looks like we're going to have to do a deep dive on this one, too. Son of a bitch. When do I have time to play video games? You know, we gotta watch some War and Peace as well. We gotta finish that. We're not even halfway through the book.
The fact that they have been trained for the past couple of months by the Serbian army in Serbian army compounds. Secondly, the weapons that they have used are produced in the Serbian military industry. They cannot be sold to individuals who are not part of the state, some of which was...
I mean, that was fuck no, Chem Goblin. You're going to get some culture whether you like it or not, you Zoomer. Fucking Zoomer.
Actually produced in the past
fucking
6
Zoomer.
weeks. So it's not just a bunch of citizens going and taking over weapons from an army factory that belongs to the state of Serbia. And finally, all of the statements, political statements by the president of Serbia, and the fact that the guy who in practice led the terrorist attack is one of his main guys, show that this very much came as an order from Aleksandar Vučić, the president of Serbia.
Of course, Serbia denies that, but you want to press for sanctions. That's a non-starter via the UN, isn't it? Not least because of Russia on the Security Council.
We're pushing for sanctions that would, first of all, come bilaterally. So UK sanctions against Serbia, US sanctions against Serbia, and other members of the European Union sanctions against Serbia. We don't have very high hopes from the UN Security Council, as you rightly pointed out, but there are ways to make Serbia accountable.
Nationalism is gross.
Without actually having Russia have a say. As we have seen for Russia's war against Ukraine, there are many possibilities through which that a country that commits aggression against another sovereign, independent country, a freedom-loving country and a democracy, of course, should pay a price for that. If for nothing else, for the fact that they need to understand a clear message that appeasement is not any longer the method through which Vučić, the president of Serbia, will be treated.
You raised the issue of Ukraine, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Do you see Moscow, Vladimir Putin's hand in what is happening in northern Kosovo?
His hands are all over it, and we can see it also through the public statements coming from Moscow in the past couple of days, including...
Look, there's nothing wrong with being proud of your country. But no, I think, look, you want to, you have some patriotism or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely not. But I think you could agree, Jim Moneymaker, if you're looking for streams on politics, you should well know how cancerous and destructive nationalism has been throughout the history of man fucking kind. This idea that you were born on this side or you were born on that side and the line on the map is the most important thing in the fucking world, and I'm saying this as an American who is immigrating into Canada, but America, we were talking about this just yesterday, that America, for actual peace, world peace to exist, America is going to need to accept scrutiny and accountability for its past actions. And that is one thing that it absolutely refuses to accept.
Yesterday, after Serbia brought a buildup of army personnel and army structures, as well as artillery of an unprecedented amount, something that we have not seen in the past 25 years or so. Of course, the statements from Russia show that this is not just in their interest, but they are helping Serbia in any way that they can in order for them to attack. So for that reason, when we see dictators and hegemonic regimes, imperialistic regimes standing together for one another, it's another message that democracies should stand with Kosovo in defending its freedom and its independence and defending all of our people, no matter their ethnicity.
Once again, I'm not quite sure where I stand on
suffering most from this situation.
We need to do a
Okay,
deep
well, we'll
dive.
come to the Serbs in a minute, but speaking of the North, should not the KFOR peacekeeping force, the NATO force, take over policing of that region and not the Kosovo police?
No, Kosovo police is the best police in the region, the most professional police in the region, and they have been doing.
I gotta be I need to know more about this. This woman's so obviously biased; it's ridiculous.
An excellent work in making sure that they maintain peace and security, but also stop these paramilitary groups from advancing, as we have seen through their excellent operation of stopping the furtherance of this terrorist act on Sunday.
But this
Kosovo
could
police has an
escalate.
excellent cooperation. I understand, which is why there is a model that is in place. Kosovo
she's like
police
a representative
is the
of the
first
government,
responder. ULEX, EU mission here, is the second responder, and
Why can't you stop watching?
KFOR is the third responder. In addition to that, KFOR has a clear mandate based on the military technical agreement of 1999 to stop every armed personnel from Serbia, including armored vehicles and so on, as well as weapons, from entering Kosovo. So yes, they can carry out that mandate in cooperation with Kosovo police, but there's no need to take over the sovereign rights of the Kosovo police, because I think them working together has worked perfectly well so far.
But what about the sovereign? What about the sovereign rights of the Serbian minority? You have 50,000 Serbs in the north of Kosovo.
Here we go.
Who see Belgrade as their capital, not Pristina. Particularly if Kosovo wants to join the EU, you're going to have to give them more. You were required 10 years ago to set up Serbian municipalities. It still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Are you aware how much? Are you aware how much we...
And she's responding with whataboutism. What are you gonna do? You got 50,000 people. You gotta compromise somewhere. Yeah. What about this? That doesn't sound like a compromise to me.
It hasn't happened.
Are you aware how much? Are you aware how much we already give to the Serb community in Kosovo?
I am, but the UN says they want more.
I'm not so sure because
They're clearly not happy. They're clearly not happy with the generous offerings that they're getting.
Because when we say the words more, it's very important to understand what's already there in place. Kosovo has the best human rights, minority rights system in place on European soil.
And just to correct myself, that wasn't exactly whataboutism.
There's no member.
She's saying that we're offering enough.
The Council of Europe that affords their minority communities more rights that Kosovo does. For example, is there any other country in Europe where a minority community of 3 to 4% can veto any change in the constitution,
Dehumanization,
any change of laws of vital interest?
That's a big part of nationalism a lot of the time.
Have reserved and guarantees rights both at the national parliament and local parliaments. The most advanced rights that exist in Europe right now are actually in Kosovo's constitution. The problem is Vučić is keeping them hostage.
Yeah. Israel's constitution is one of the most democratic constitutions. Yeah, I mean, come on. Having what the content of the constitution doesn't really matter of the conduct of the country,
and not allowing the Serbs the rights that they have. Now, of course, Kosovo is ready to do more.
Yeah.
Kosovo, yes. Kosovo is ready to do more. We want to give every single advanced right to the Serb community, the Serb citizens that live in our country, because we want them to feel equal. We want them to feel included. This is their home. We are trying everything that we can to protect them from these terrorist groups.
And yet 5 EU countries don't recognize Kosovar independence. 5.
But that's not the reason. There's no connection whatsoever towards how Kosovo treats their minority communities and why these 5 countries have not recognized Kosovo. They haven't so far for their own internal issues. And I think pretty soon they will, actually, because Kosovo is here to stay, sovereign, independent, and a democracy forever. So the sooner they do that, the more they would be contributing to peace and stability in this region and would be giving a clear message to Vučić that actually there's no way back. He wants to go back to the 90s. We need to work together with all European member states, with the US, with the UK, to make sure that Vučić, the student of Milosevic's minister for propaganda, does not turn this region back to the 90s. Young generations do not deserve to.
It doesn't sound like she's interested in compromising at all. And I understand, like, you could be tough in those negotiations, but she sounds totally uncompromising in what she's saying. And she's basically saying, you know, we should use the strength of the Western alliances to push this change. We don't need to make compromises. That I don't really appreciate that. I mean, I don't know. I need to know the history. I need to understand the history here because Russia's involved, and you know what that fucking means. That means all kinds of shit fuckery. So I don't know where I stand on this right now. I need to know more. Davey, can you whip up another one? Can you give me another one? We're gonna have to do 2 deep dives this week, man. Fucking kill me. What is this? PragerU? Oh no, this is Jordan Peterson University. God help us all. God help us all. And he's like, oh no, you're not going to get any accreditation or anything, but you put it on your put it on your resume and if future employers will see that and be impressed. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What up, Ford the Perfect? It's good to see you. You don't need to be complimenting me, man. Come on. But thank you.
To go through what we had to go through. Wake up every single morning with war knocking at the door. For that reason, we're working with partners.
How dare you?
We will be giving
man.
more advanced rights to the Serbs, but nothing to Serbia. Serbia deserves no further instruments to diminish our independence and our freedom.
Madam President, thanks so much for your time.
Okay, so it's president. Wow, okay. So it shows how sexist I am. I just assumed that she was like a lower level person. This is president of Kosovo?
In the country.
Broke away from Serbia.
Who is this?
What happens next? Maybe.
Earlier I spoke to the president of Kosovo.
Yeah, president of Kosovo. Wow, okay, wow. Way to be a sexist, jackass. But no, okay. But I mean, so her bias is pretty obvious. But what I didn't hear was any kind of conciliatory language whatsoever. And like I said, it does seem like she's basically saying, we have the power. We have the upper hand here. But I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. Like I said, we're going to be doing a deep dive later this week, so make sure you YouTube look for that video. Looks like I'll be commenting over some kind of massive documentary that goes into the history of Kosovo and Serbia. See, I was just about to say Armenia, dog. I was just about, you know what I'm saying? I'm such a jackass. All right, but thank you, YouTube. We're going to be doing deep dives later on that, so look forward to that. Thank you. Like and subscribe, and I don't know, something derogatory and disgusting. That's what I usually do.